And I was just sharing a book and a movie that I saw and looked at to read about people coming from the future and either shooting a president who was like kind of like a Trumpy, so to speak, tyrant who wanted to basically create himself more or less as a dictator rather than a president democracy. So, and the other one was about someone coming back from the future to stop the Titanic, because the Titanic was a representation of wealth by the super rich and so forth, and the controllers. And so by stopping the Titanic from being crashing into the iceberg, there's another book called The Company of the Dead about this concept of doing something to the past or in the past. So both of those were kind of interesting discourses because they were sharing this context. What if we weren't necessarily going to acknowledge things that existed in the past and or that were results of the past, so that we could start fresh and be aware in the moment? And this is something we all have experiences with contextually in our own lives all the time. And I mean, I have lots of experiences where I know I could have avoided something if I had taken certain actions. I didn't know about the avenue to take that would have prevented it, or I did and I ignored it. And we do get the cues and the clues and the identifications that we need always. That's natural. We're always being given these clues, and the presentation really, the NUUU presentation would be the Maximus Optimus of such, in that sense, you know. It's top of the world, Ma, and so anyway, I'm just, there was another thought I had related to this, which is some kind of a concept for doing, well, I've got a number of things I'm getting about how to handle certain projects and or business or other social relations and stuff, all of them, because they're really out of the box ways of doing it. I could give examples, and so I'll write it down instead and try and make it clear without. The problem with sometimes you write it down is someone thinks I'm promulgating or we're promulgating an idea. And that is the challenge that we have, and Duane has very much so, because he's not presenting an idea or relating with the presentation of the true reality life is. And it has nothing to do with the concept of grasping reality or needing to have a concept to do that. At the same time, we have to communicate them. And that's the challenge of presentations. So I wish I could remember what I wrote it down. I've been writing things down quite a bit now. And I think that's a good idea for people, and us here, all the new friends, to keep writing down what their experiences are and sharing them and putting them out or giving them, putting them in a form that we can also see what the person gets out of that experience and what the value was. I've had, my teeth have been bothering me and so forth, and I'm not exactly sure about it in a number of ways, but I've used new techniques and the older techniques, both. I don't know, it's starting to come to me, and that all I need to do is continue to do the things that I know can work. In my example, tea tree oil, and is antibiotic, and other things that have been suggested. But at the same time, I noticed that I don't really have any discomfort unless I'm talking too much, or if someone's talking too much to me. I have a real brouhaha about this the whole time, and I just know that I got to avoid any of these conversations, if possible. And that's all it is. And this, whatever the strain is on a muscle I have or a tooth, and if there's no inflammation, then there's no problem. It doesn't really need to be fixed, or maybe it does. But the point is, all of that brouhaha involvement is what we want to avoid. We don't want to get in. We're learning what not to do, and that would be my example of that. So I'll end there. And Duane said that a number of times. We're really learning what not to do, not necessarily trying to motivate promotion of some kind. And I mean, it's a very important part of it to be aware of. And that's what we're getting from all our references. What is the real awareness? That's it. And